So we continue with our talk about the relationship and romance and love, but again, these kind of skills are important for any kind of relationship, like relationships at work, at school, at home, with family, with partners, because you're gonna learn lots of communication skills and conflict resolution. But the focus will be on romantic relationships, and but if you are single, still this is a good time to learn about or for preparation for relationship. And if you are in a relationship now, this is also a good time to apply these skills right away. As I mentioned, the last 3 sessions, I believe that couples should learn specific skills, and they need to reflect on certain points or certain ideas, and they need to have a conversation, a deep conversation or a discussion about these points. So the first one, they need to to have a conversation about how we're gonna renew love, excitement, euphoria. So in relationship at the beginning, there is a time for romance and euphoria and excitement, but sometimes it tended to fade away over time. So they need to have a discussion about this stuff. Also, they need to have a discussion about how I'm gonna show love, acceptance, empathy, emotional intimacy within the relationship, because the language of love is different from one person to another. And another thing is childhood experience and the family of origin. We all came from different families with different experiences. So we need to have, you and your partner need to have discussion about this stuff. And again, if you are not in relationship now, it's good to reflect back onto your childhood experience, because whatever happened in the past gonna affect and they're gonna have a major impact on future relationships. Also, they need to talk about the differences in personality, temperament, and the spirituality and values. Okay, for some people, the most important value is the family connection and the love and the affection, and for others, the success and the achievement is the most important thing and their priority. So they need to have a discussion to see these differences. Also, they need to discuss distorted thoughts and the core belief and assumption. And if you attended CBT, there is something called the distorted thoughts, like catastrophizing, personalizing, black and white thinking. So they need to see and they talk about this stuff. Also, they need to talk about how they're gonna resolve conflict and how they're gonna find common grounds. This is also important. They need to talk about sexual intimacy, fidelity, boundaries, and parenting. These are area that can create conflict too. So they need to talk about it. They need to talk about how they're gonna keep romance and joy alive. They need to talk about gratitude and how to experience gratitude in the relationship. They need to learn letting go, and how to apologize and the forgiveness. Half of my book is about letting go. If you get the book, I'm sure you notice that half of the book is about just letting go. So I believe every couple need to learn these skills, how to cope with the challenges and the loss. Life is suffering, right? There will be challenges and the loss all the time. How are we gonna cope with it, not as an individual, no, as one unit, as a family. And then sharing, they need to talk about the dreams and the goals for future. Anyway, these are the main point. Why I keep repeating them and go through them in all sessions, and I'm gonna continue to do the same thing, because when you feel that your relationship is going down, you need to go through this list and see where is the problem. I guarantee you will find a problem or a defect or a lack in some of this area. So keep them in mind that we need, communication, finding common ground. We need letting go. We need romance. We need sexual intimacy. We need to explore our past, our childhood experience, differences in personality, differences in core beliefs. and the differences in our family of origin. These need to be in the background of your mind, all the time when you're having a relationship. Anyway, for today, our focus for today will be two things, childhood and family of origin. I'm sure you know that your personality is affected by genetic, like part of your personality is hereditary or genetic, and another part is environmental, like depend on the experience and interpersonal history that you have between you and your friends and the co-workers and and your parent. So when you ask me what are the contributing factors for developing a personality, whatever it is, a positive or a negative personality, a great part, let's say 50%, will be genetic. Another part will be the family and the interpersonal history. And the family represent a major part on developing your personality. So it has a major part on you and your expectation of life and others. Everything that happen in the family gonna affect your or have an impact on your future relationship. Like what? Like what the abuse you are talking about, abuse and the physical, verbal, sexual abuse and the neglect. Yeah, these are major parts, but everything is not just an abuse. Abuse gonna cause mental health and addiction problem, but also you're gonna copy whatever is the dynamic that you have in your family. What do you mean by dynamic? Like everything, spoken and unspoken rules, expectation, the power structure, the communication, whatever is the verbal communication that happen between siblings and dad and mom, and the style of showing love and affection, the values in the families, the priorities in the families, how they solve problems. Anything that is happening within your family of origin, it's gonna have an impact, and it's gonna change the brain wiring, and it's gonna have an impact on future relationship. So I put few things here, but it's more than that. The communication, the expectation, the rules, the style of showing love, the values, everything. I get this question all the time. When I choose my partner, should we be very different or very similar? I told you we have to be similar and different at the same time. So the difference will create attraction, right? The similarities will create common ground for communication. So, but I still believe that very different childhood experience gonna be more challenging. Okay, there is exceptions. Sometimes there is partners who come from very different, especially in Canada, everyone here in Canada come from a very different culture. Like you can find someone from Middle East who is Muslims, is having a partner from Japan who is not religious at all, and they both having complete different childhood experience. So when it's a childhood experience is very different, it's gonna be more challenging. But if they talk about the list, at the beginning of my presentation, there was a list about this and this and this. If they keep talking about these differences and the list that I presented here, it's gonna make it easier. Okay, so the more you understand about your partner, family, and the culture and the past experience, the more you will be able to blend together. Anyway, our questions in this part will focus on addressing childhood experience. Okay, as you know, for people who first time to come to this presentation, we will have in this session 2 exercises. So after I finish my PowerPoint presentation, we will have a discussion. Okay, one of the things we're gonna discuss is how do you think childhood experience impact relationship with others? So again, the question is, how do you think childhood experiences impact relationship with others? This is part of the question. Another part of the question, I want you to reflect on this question. So these questions, I want you, when you are answering these questions, I want you to think as if Dr. Atalla is asking you this question. Or if you have a partner, your partner is asking you this question. Okay, so the first question, do you know much about your parent upbringing? So your parent family, do you know anything about it? This is the first question. The second question, do you spend much time with your family? Okay. Is there a parent that is there a parent you were very close to, and is there a parent that you were very or very is more difficult to getting along with? So sometimes when people feel close to their dad or their mom or both of them, or they don't feel close to to either of them. So tell me if you felt close to your parent or not. Okay, another question, the open-ended question, how would you describe your childhood? Okay, tell me, like in few sentences, few statements, how do you describe your childhood? And if you have a partner, do you think you and your partner have a similar childhood or not? And why this question is important, because I told you if the childhood are experience are very different, it's gonna cause some challenges. Another important question is there is a history of mental illness or addiction, like a psychiatric problem or addiction problem in your family? Because I'm sure you know, like mental illness or addiction in the family, if it is an active disease, if it is under treatment, we're good, no problems. But if it is an active disease with no treatment, it's gonna create instability in the family. Another important question, what traits in your family you would like to continue? Let's say you are coming from a family which value religion, for example. Is this something you like to continue seeing in with your partner and with your kids? Let's say your family focus on achieving goals and success and academics and stuff like that. Would you like our family, current family, or future kids, like would you like them to, this is would be the same? If your family were very loving, very emotional, they express their emotion openly, this is a trait you want to see to continue? If there is a neglect in the family, of course, this is something you don't want to continue. Okay, so tell me what traits in your family would you like to continue in future relationship or in your relationship now? And again, we summarize with the question, how do you think your childhood impact your relationship and family now? Your past childhood affecting your relationship now. So these are questions. I want you to reflect on them, process these questions, answer them, and share with us. Some people are not comfortable in our group. They are not comfortable to share about their past experience. That's fine. Just you can answer this simple question. How do you think childhood experience impact relationship with others? If you want to answer just this part, it's fine, but I would love to see you going through these questions too. So I'm going to go through them very quick again. So these questions are important to look back to past experience. So do you know, very question, do you know about your parents' upbringing? Because why we are asked about not just your parent, no, their family, the family of your parent and their experience. Because we know there is something called intergenerational transmission of experience. So if 5 generations in the past there was neglect and abuse, sometimes this can increase the chances of having neglect in future generations. If there is multiple separation in the past and a divorce, sometimes we expect for future generations there will be a divorce. Of course, there is exceptions, and sometimes we learn from the lesson in the past. Like I see a lot patient, their dad or their mom have addiction problem. The kids, even they have the genetic part of addiction, but because they saw the negative side of addiction, they will never touch alcohol, smoking, cocaine, any of this stuff, because they see the negative side of it. But also we see on the other side, sometimes the kids will see their parent as a role model, even if it is a negative role model, but just to follow the same traits and the same habits. But anyway, tell me about your parent. Tell me about your parent upbringing, if you know about it. Tell me, do you spend much time, how much time do you spend with your family? Tell me if you felt close to your parent or not. Tell me how do you describe your childhood in general. Tell me, do you think if you have a partner, do you think your past childhood experience are similar or different? Um, Tell me if there was mental illness or addiction in your family. Tell me, do you think how much time do you want to spend with your family? What traits is that was in your family and you like, and do you want to continue with the same values or priorities or traits? And to sum up this question, how do you think childhood impact relationship and the family? This is one part. Another part is family of origin roles. So, you know, everyone in the family will have a role. And your role in your family and the interaction with other family members gonna create pattern, okay? So if you are an only child in your family, this is different from having 5 siblings. And this is different from having 2 siblings and the 2 step siblings. And also that the age, like if there is 2 years difference between you and your brothers and you and your sister, and you are very close in age. This is different when your brother is 10 years older or 10 years younger. And also the impact is different if you are the oldest or the youngest or the middle child. So your position within the family or your role will be different. Also, your performance in academics compared to your siblings will have an impact on you and your psychological states. So, you know, if you are doing bad in academics compared to your brother, this is gonna cause psychological, you know, influence. Also friendship, if you don't have friendship and your siblings have lots of friends, this is also have an impact. The talent, different talent within the family. Another important question within your family is, are you able to get along with siblings and your parent or not? Okay, so these are the questions that gonna help us to reflect on roles of family of origin. So the first question is, how do your birth order affect your role in the family? This is so the birth order, you could be the oldest, the youngest, the middle child. For example, the oldest, you know, they tend to be serious or perfectionist. The youngest maybe tended to be more social or more rebellious. The middle child tended to be more like negotiator. Is not written in a stone, these things, but I'm sure you can see that being the oldest or the youngest can make a difference. Another question, did your parent treat each of you differently or not? Okay, did your parent treat each of you differently or not? This is a good question. And here's if you are the first born or the oldest, do you think you are more responsible, perfectionist, serious? If you are the middle child, you know, do you think were you a good negotiator? Because the middle child need to have negotiation skill to be able to interact with the oldest and the youngest. And if you were the youngest, were you more rebellious or social? These are questions, you know. Again, it doesn't have to be, oh, the youngest is always social and rebellious. No, it doesn't have to be. Maybe the youngest is responsible because he was the one, you know, who stayed with his parent, and when his parent got older, he was the one who was taking care of them, something like that. Another pathological dynamic is black sheep. If you were, you know, some kids will be the black sheep in the family or the family clown. If this is a dynamic that was happening within your family, let us know. Okay. Also, another thing, how is relationship with your sibling, how did this affect your self-image and self-esteem? Another one is, I was just talking about it, do you ever have to be the parent in your family? You know, so when there is a divorce or a single parent, sometimes you will be a parent, especially if you have more than 2 siblings in the family, and loss of one of your parent at early age because of this or whatever gonna cause the same thing. So did you ever have to be the parent in your family? This is an important question. Exercise number 2 is, you know, how do birth order and relationship with family member affect future relationship? Again, this is the main question. How do birth order and the relationship how do your birth order and the relationship with your parent and your sibling affect future relationship? So you see, the exercise 1 and exercise 2 is similar. You know, it is all talking about the past, your childhood experience, your relationship with your parent, your relationship with your siblings, your relationship with your birth order, and how it affects your personality. Again, I'm gonna go through these questions again. And for those who attend this is for the first time, you know, we are doing these kind of questions to get to know yourself. Even you tell me, oh, I don't have a partner to, it sounds like this question, you're gonna take turn asking each other the following question. You know, these questions were designed for partner to talk to each other about them. But what if I am not in a relationship now? It's good. I want you to know yourself. So you can't have a partner until you know yourself. Know what about myself? Know a lot of things about yourself. Okay, the focus today is know your past. You know, your childhood experience, your relationship with your parent, stuff like that. So I'll go through the question again. How did your birth order affect your role in family? Okay, so I told you it could be the oldest or youngest or middle child. Tell me how this make a difference. Also tell me if your parent treat each of you differently. Did they like your sibling more than you? Were your siblings able to get along with your parent more than you? So tell me, how did your parent was treating you, if the same or differently? And then I put here, were you the firstborn or middle child or youngest? And tell me if you were the, I hear this is a lot from the patient, you know, I was the black sheep in the family. I was neglected all the time. If anything bad happened in the family, they always, you know, point at me that I'm the cause of the problem in the family. Of course, this dynamic gonna cause a negative impact on the future relationship and for mental health in general. Tell me how the relationship between you and your sibling affect your self-image and self-esteem. And the last question is, did you ever have to be the parent in the family? This is a good question. So I'll give you 5 minutes. Again, 2 questions that we focus on. You can answer all these questions, or if you don't like to go into personal details, you want to just answer in general. So tell me, exercise 1 is, how do you think childhood experience impact relationship with others? This is one question. Another question is, how do birth order and the relationship with your siblings affect future relationship? I will give you 5 minutes to think about these questions, and then Brooklyn will run the discussion.